nice little disc to hold it, so we're just going to push that on the end there, and that just holds that thread in place. So I'm going to pull this thread going across, and you'll see there's a number 1 there. Put that underneath there, so pull it forward. We're going to follow the arrow that says number 2, so we're going to come down here, and we're going to follow the arrow where it says 3 and goes up, so we're going to pull that up. Now we've got to go round here, we've got to thread this through the take-up arm, so I'm just going to turn the hand wheel on the side so that comes up the take-up arm. So you want to be able to see that there. You're going to go in on the right hand side, pull it across to the left. Number 5 there, which is going to come down, and then we're going to try and thread that around there. There's a little hook just here, so we're going to thread that around, so that's now sitting just in front of the needle. And the last thing we have to do is thread this through the needle, and there's an eye, a hole in the needle there, a little eye we call that, and we're going to thread it away from us. So we're going to thread front to back, so we're going to go towards the wall. So now I'm just going to thread that up. Make sure you have a nice blunt end on your thread. If it's not, cut it with some scissors, and then we're just going to thread that through like that. Push that through to the back. You can see my finger, it's threaded through. Just going to pull that out to the side, and then I'm just going to hook it underneath in the middle of the sewing machine foot there, hook it under so I can push it back where the bobbin thread is, and you'll see that we've got this bobbin thread here. So if I pull this bobbin thread, you should see the bobbin going round. So you now know that you've got 2 threads, you are ready to sew. Okay, so once you've checked that your machine is threaded up, you've got your 2 threads, the top thread you've threaded, check that you've got your bobbin thread, and that's just turning the bobbin in the bobbin compartment. We're now going to set it to straight stitch. We're just going to do straight stitch. So we've got 2 big dials here. They do turn. There's a nice little ridge on the edge here that you can turn them, but we just want to double check that this one is set to B/A, and that means we're going to be doing a straight stitch here, and we're just going to do that. So that's all we need to set for. Make sure this is set for B and A, and then we're going to come to the dial down here, and you can see there's some little dashed lines here. They're telling you that if you turn this dial, you're going to make your stitch length longer. So if I turned this to 4, that's going to be the longest stitch length. If I turn it back round to 1, that means they're going to be much closer together, so they're more like that one there. So I would advise you that we're going to have everything set to 3, which is sort of midway between the 2. The next dial down, it's not really a dial, but this little button here has an arrow on it. Now this is if you want to sew backwards, and we do reverse stitch when we start a seam or when we finish a seam, and that strengthens the seam, the stitching line. And all you do is push that right down as you sew, and it will go backwards. So I'm going to show you just a line of straight stitching. So check that we're on B and A, we've checked we're on 3, we've got our fabric, we're going to pop it under the machine, and we're just going to lower that presser foot. So remember, we always lower the presser foot. So now my fabric's clamped into the machine or under the machine. I'm going to put my foot on the foot pedal, which is on the floor, just going to push down, and that's now going to sew a nice straight line. Now to go and do back stitch, all we're going to do is push this button down, so push it quite hard so it does that, so it almost does a tilt away from you, and then as you put your foot down it will go backwards. I'm going to release that button now, so that comes back up to its resting position, and it means you're going to come forward. And that's all there is to stitching. So when you come to the end of the line, you want to do your back stitch, come forward again, you're going to stop, you're going to lift the presser foot up like that, and then you're going to pull away your work nice and far away, and you are going to cut your work or the threads close to your piece of work. So you're going to have about 2 centimetres of thread there, but a nice long bit of thread here between where you've cut them, and that means when you sew your next seam it's not going to unthread. So always make sure you've got nice long threads between your needle and where your fabric was that you cut, and that's all there is to sewing a straight line of straight stitch.